Hey everyone, down here in Raton, New Mexico, beautiful summer day. Luckily the monsoon's gone away, so the weather's a little better, fewer thunderstorms now. But anyway, I wanted to go do a approach into Angel Fire, maybe do a touch and go over there, and then head on to Las Vegas, New Mexico. So welcome aboard. I'm Evan Anderman, a geologist, photographer, and pilot based in Denver, Colorado. Come with me as I discover new ways to look at the environment.
Going east, 6 Mike Yankee, thank you. Everything all started up here. Let's see, I had a Raton to LVS. Yep, on here. Flight plan will be Raton to KAXX. Hellfire. There we go. Add the approach when we get in there. On here, this is what it looks like. I have the hazard advisor on here, so you can see stuff that's within 100 and 1,000. The red's 100 feet. We're really at 6,000. So yeah, it makes sense that everything's red here. But I'll just turn that off for a second, and we can go look at the approach. So here we are in Raton. You can see my track coming down from Denver. The approach starts pretty far north here, but of course we have to be at 12,700 feet. So we might have to circle a little bit before we can get to that. Not sure what the turbulence is going to do, because there it is at 13,000 feet. You can see there's yellow in there. There's just the wind out of the west, of course, and it comes over those hills. That's the only abort thing here, is if it just gets too turbulent when we're down in the valley, then we'll knock it off, and I'll just head straight on to Las Vegas, where I'm meeting somebody for lunch. Eventually I'm going to end up in Santa Fe for a couple nights. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. If you come in at Phenon, then you don't have to do a procedure turn. You can turn at Omley and come in, and you can see the altitude's going in 12,700 going into Omley. Then we get to come down before CMOB to 11,600. Excuse me, at CMOB we're at 12,300, at Wooden 11,600, and that's where we start the approach. But we don't go down very far. As you can see, the minimums here are 9,960, so 1,600 feet off the ground. So, and we'll just see how things go, whether we go do a landing or not. That's it here. I think we're set to go. Go to map there, got the traffic. Let's get the...
Raton Municipal Cruise Field Airport.
Automated weather observation 1647 Zulu. Wind variable at 03. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 24 Celsius. Dew point 14 Celsius. Altimeter 3030.
That's all good, about the same as when I came in. Anyway, we'll go to the end of this taxiway and do a run up and take off on 20. Maybe start out to the east and start circling and climbing to try and get up to 12,700, at least before we get to Getke, which is closer to the mountains there. Yeah, I haven't done one of these videos in a while. Got a new hip over here, beginning of June, 2 months ago. Everything went pretty much as planned. Feeling pretty good right now, about, I'd say 99%. I took 6 weeks off of flying, and obviously it's kept me from doing any of these videos.
Raton Unicom, citation 59 Delta Fox is going to overfly the field and enter a left downwind with runway 25. Traffic in the area, please advise.
Anyway, we got some traffic in the area. Runup check. Parking brake set. Cabin doors and windows will be all set when I close that. Fuel selector valves on the fullest because we're like 3/4 and 3/4. Autopilot's off. Let me close this. Running up 1,700 RPM here. These magnetos seem to do a 150 RPM drop. 1 propeller, 2 propeller, 3 propeller. Remember, this checks the propeller controller, but it also gets a fresh shot of oil into the hub up there. So oil temperature, oil pressure, fuel flow, volts, amps, all set. Back to idle. Idle's good. Circuit breakers, back to 1,000 obviously. We'll turn lights on in a second, all that stuff. Instruments, yeah, altimeter set to 3030 on all of them. Yep, takeoff briefing. So flaps, make sure your lights on the way out to the runway. Confirm full power, rotate 50 knots, climb out 70, 80 knots. Engine failure before rotation, power to idle, brake. After rotation, pitch over, feet light, airspeed 80 knots. Fix your fuel ignition, flaps, master, all that stuff if you get to it. But important thing, land straight ahead. You're above 1,000 feet, consider turning back. Okay, I think we're all set. Wait till this guy's pulled off.
Raton traffic, stationer 756 Mike Yankee, holding short at 20. Can that citation let me know when you're clear of the runway?
Roger that. It'll be just a second.
No hurry, 6 Mike Yankee.
And Raton, 59 Delta Fox is clearing at Alpha on the end of the taxiway, or into the runway to the taxiway now.
Great, Raton traffic, stationer 756 Mike Yankee is taking off of 20 and departing to the east at Raton.
Okay, flaps, mixture, lights. Oh, do my timer here. Okay. Better try. Pull flaps out. Power back to 30 and the propeller to 25. Guess I'll turn south to begin with. Like 700 foot per minute climb. Gonna take a little while. Basically got 5,000 feet to climb. I guess what I can do is go to procedure, approach, RNAV+V, LNAV+V vertical. Vectors, I think I decided that I wanted Phenon, and let's activate that. So then we always are pointing at Phenon. We can continue climbing, and maybe I'll turn east now. Well, this will be interesting. So you can see on my display that the hazard advisor trumps everything, so you get to see it on top of everything else. Of course, there's the map, and then there's the plate on top of that. So we'll get to see more of that plate as we climb. Yeah, awesome. All set. Almost to 9,000. Climbing over Raton and the Kaplan volcano monuments over here somewhere. Hard to tell, there are a lot of little volcanic hills here. I'm going to turn to the north now and keep climbing. Yeah, I love, actually, the drive from Raton down to Las Vegas. It's this huge grassland area. It's the beginning of the prairie going off to the east. And it's just a gorgeous drive. It's still actually pretty green right now. Usually in August it starts turning like an amber color. And gorgeous drive. Anyway, I can see the hills over there. Guess I can start heading direct to Phenon. See what that does for us. Okay, try this again. Not sure when that turned off. This is a problem I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm shooting in 4K now, and so the camera gets hot. Plus, it's sitting out in the sunshine, and that doesn't help. So anyway, it went off for some amount of time. Let me bring you up to date and tell you where we're at. So we're now inside the initial approach fix called GECT, and the altitude we're supposed to be at is 12,700. So we're going into where we're going to turn in at Omley. As predicted, the wind is coming straight over the mountains, so there's a little bit of turbulence here, weave it up and down. If you were doing this approach in the clouds, which, by the way, I would never do in this airplane, I wouldn't fly over the mountains at all doing an approach. It would probably be turbulent anyway, so this is not exactly too different from the actual conditions. You can see that I put on my oxygen because we're at 12,700 feet. I only have to put it on if I'm up here for above 12,005 for more than 30 minutes. But why not? I have it, I put it on, it helps me stay together. Anyway, so 3.5 minutes to Omley, to the next waypoint. I also talked about, I read something that a wise person said that you should just plan on flying the missed approach, and you're ready for that. Because, and then if you actually do see the ground and get to land, then that's a bonus. And if you didn't get to land, then you might be kind of thrown off. So I went through the missed approach here, which is, you can see the final approach track is 174. So you continue at 174, climbing to 14,000 feet. Remember, you're close to 10, so you have to go 4,000 feet. And you go direct to Hondu. From Hondu, you do a 160 track to Devik, which is another waypoint out. And then you continue on that same heading to FTI, which is the Fort Union VOR over at Las Vegas. And I actually have this blue line shows you the track here. So here's the Devik waypoint with all the stuff in the background, of course. And then you get to FTI over here, which is the Las Vegas airport. So that's actually what I'm going to be flying today anyway. So I guess we'll try that. Not even try to land. Still 2 minutes and 45 seconds to Conley. I have it on nav, so it's going to turn in automatically. But I get to descend from 12.7 to 12,300 once I have finished the turn to CMOV, and then at CMOV I can go on down another 700 feet to 11,600. Anyway, this must be the valley. Oh, I see the airport out over there. You can see the whole valley here, see the runway down at the end of it. So another minute. The problem is there's a pretty good-sized mountain in front of us. You can see the mine that's back behind Cuesta is right there. 45 seconds. It says left to 160 in 7, 6, 5. And here we go. And I pull the power back a little bit. And I did minus 400 feet per minute, maybe minus 500. Because our ground speed is 140 now. And now it's capturing that altitude. And I can tee up 11,600. Which I can't do for 20 seconds. And let's see what it says. It says, I should say, GPS, LNAV+V. So what that means is that we have lateral navigation, but we don't have vertical. We're on our own to do the vertical, so that's why I'm doing these step downs. But then past Wooten, we can go on down to the minimum. I'll just call it 10,000 and descend to that. But again, you'll see some things turning yellow and red here because we're getting below the rocks. Yep, but now it's gonna, there's a little kink, little dog leg, so we're gonna turn to the right and face towards the runway. And then I can put in 10,000, but we'll just go down there and I'll keep doing 500 feet per minute. Yeah, there's a big hill right over here and the wind's just swirling over that.
Angel Fire Airport. Automated weather observation 1733. Zulu weather wind 230 at 12 gust 20 visibility 10 altimeter 3051.
You probably think we're not headed towards the runway, but there's a great crosswind that we're grabbed into, so that's why it looks like it's off of the left side of the airplane. But this looks like a nice area. 500 feet to go. So this is pretty steep. The 500 feet to go then puts you 1,600 feet above the runway. So you have to be able to descend normally to make that, and that's going to be pretty close, actually. But it says we're, what, 2.7 miles from the runway. So we could have descended faster so that we were further away from the runway.
Oops, I guess the turbulence was getting to me, and I thought I should take this opportunity to correct my misperception that this was a steep approach. If you look on the actual approach plate, you can see something called the vertical descent angle, and here it's 3.05 degrees. Now, its standard approach is 3.0 degrees, so in fact, this is not steeper than that. And so where did I go wrong? Now, the only thing I have on my instrument panel that tells me how fast I'm going up or down is the vertical speed indicator, and that's calibrated in feet per minute. So I need a way to get from the angle to the descent rate in feet per minute. For that, we turn to the rate of descent table, which is distributed by the FAA as a supplemental table with all the approach charts. So you can see the first column shows the angle of descent, and from that we get a corresponding rate of descent in feet per nautical miles. Now to get to the actual rate of descent in feet per minute, we have to include our ground speed. I usually do approaches at 90 knots ground speed, and so we can interpolate here between the 3.0 and 3.1 and see that that's somewhere in the range of 500 feet per minute. And that's what I had set in the autopilot for the descent rate. But remember, I decided I wasn't going to be actually landing, and so for some reason I never pulled back the power and slowed down to that speed. In reviewing the video, I see that I was somewhere in excess of 130 knots, in fact. When we interpolate between these four values, we get somewhere like 700 feet per minute, which is much different. That's the rate I should have used to get down to the minimum descent altitude and still have time to descend to get to the runway. This is a very good lesson to have learned during this approach.
Get back into our climbing configuration, and then I think it said, what, 14,000 feet? But not that I want to go up that high, but maybe we'll go to 11.5. And let's go to indicated airspeed and activate GPS mist. Okay, so now we're going direct to home view. Anyway, looks like a nice little valley. There's the ski area over on our left-hand side. But that would be the ski area right there. Oh yeah, definitely squirrely here. So this would be the mist up to 14,000. Pretty much, again, we're crabbed into the wind. So our track is going to be off to the left of these mountains, out into the plains there. So I guess I can go ahead and take this off because I'm at 11,000. But I hope you found that interesting. Wow, it's interesting to do an LNAV+ vertical approach because the altitude's totally on me, and I should have planned to be down at the decision altitude a little earlier so I could cruise at that, decide if I could see the runway, then I could go beneath it. Looking forward to doing a lot more of these videos in the coming weeks and months, so make sure you tune into those. And you know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe, tell all your friends about this great content, and I'll catch you on the next flight.